The Calrixian patrol ship hummed with tension as its crew surrounded the lone human in their detention bay. She stood motionless, arms raised, her battered armor telling stories of 100 battles. The chest plate was scorched, dented and scratched, a patchwork of survival that should have belonged in a museum, not on a living soldier. Commander Vexthor circled her slowly, his four eyes narrowing with suspicion. Humans were rare this far into Calrixian territory, and this one had been found drifting in an escape pod near the Forbidden Sector, a region where 3 civilizations had mysteriously vanished over the past decade. Identification, Vexthor demanded, his translator clicking in the sterile air. The human remained silent, her dark eyes following his movement. She was young by human standards, perhaps 30 cycles, with scars crossing her face like Jan medals. Her breathing was steady despite being surrounded by 8 armed Calrixians, each twice her size. I said identification. Vexthor's crest flared crimson with irritation. Slowly, deliberately, the human lowered one hand and tapped her chest twice. The metallic clang echoed in the bay. Vexthor stepped closer, his optical implants focusing on the chest plate's surface. Beneath the carbon scoring and impact craters, something caught his attention. A series of marks pressed into the metal itself. Not painted, not etched, stamped. His blood ran cold. Scanner, he whispered to his second-in-command. The device hummed over the chest plate, and the holographic display made Vexthor's legs weaken. The marks weren't just any identification code. They were military-grade biometric stamps, the kind that could only be applied by one individual's unique genetic signature when pressed against heated metal. Fleet Admiral Krishara's signature, the same Krishara who had single-handedly negotiated peace between the Calrixian Empire and the Terran Coalition 5 years ago. The same admiral who had disappeared without a trace 3 months prior while investigating the Forbidden Sector. The same leader whose death had nearly reignited the war. Where did you get this? Vexthor's voice was barely above a whisper now, respect and fear mixing in equal measure. The human finally spoke, her voice hoarse but steady. He gave it to me. Before he died. The detention bay fell into absolute silence. 8 Calrixian warriors, trained to show no emotion, stood frozen. Explain, Vexthor commanded, though his tone had shifted from interrogation to desperate need. The human, her name tag read Cortez M., lowered her arms completely. No one stopped her. 3 months ago, I was part of a joint human Calrixian research team investigating energy anomalies in the Forbidden Sector, she began, her words measured and precise. We found something. An ancient weapon platform, still active, still hunting. It had been destroying any ship that entered its range for millennia. She touched her chest plate again, fingers tracing the stamped identification with something like reverence. Admiral Krishara's command ship arrived when the platform attacked our station. He could have retreated. His ship was fast enough, powerful enough. But there were 73 researchers on that station. 62 Calrixian, 11 human. Vexthor felt his secondary heart accelerate. This matched the timeline. This matched everything they hadn't been able to explain. The Admiral ordered the evacuation, but the platform's weapons were tearing through our shields. Escape pods were being picked off one by one. Cortez's eyes grew distant, reliving the moment. That's when he did something insane. Something so perfectly, recklessly human that I understood why our species chose to ally with yours instead of fighting you. What did he do? One of the younger guards asked, unable to contain himself. He rammed his command ship into the weapon platform's core. Cortez's voice carried no drama, just cold fact. His shields were still at 40%. He had enough power to jump away, but he calculated that the explosion would create a window, exactly 17 seconds, where the platform's targeting systems would reboot. She gestured to herself, to her battered armor, to her very existence. 73 escape pods launched in those 17 seconds. 73 people who shouldn't be alive. Before he made his final run, the Admiral's pod jettisoned from his ship and collided with mine. He was bleeding from a dozen wounds. His ship was on automated trajectory. He had maybe 5 minutes left. Vexthor's crest had faded to deep purple, the color of mourning among his people. He used those 5 minutes to manually stamp his identification into my chest plate. His hands were shaking so badly it took him 3 attempts. Then he told me, her voice cracked for the first time. He told me to make sure both our peoples knew the truth, that he didn't die for Calrixians or for humans. He died for people. Just people. She straightened. Military discipline overriding emotion. He made me promise to return to Calrixian space with proof, to show that he honored his oath to protect all citizens of the Alliance. His last words were, "They need to know we're the same where it matters." Vexthor's hand moved to his weapon, not to draw it but to remove it. He placed it on the ground. One by one his entire unit did the same. It was the Calrixian gesture of profound respect, reserved for warriors who had transcended mere duty. "Lieutenant Cortez," Vexthor said formally, using her rank for the first time, "you will be escorted immediately to the Imperial Council. They must hear this. The Admiral's family must know." "There's more," Cortez added. "The weapon platform's data core survived. I've been drifting for 3 months protecting it, because it contains information about who built these platforms and why." She produced a small, sealed container from her armor's damaged storage compartment. Admiral Krishara died stopping one. "This data might help us stop all of them." Vexthor understood then. This human had survived on minimal rations and a dying escape pod, in hostile space for 3 months, all to honor a promise made to a dying Calrixian admiral. This was why the Alliance worked. Not because humans and Calrixians were the same, but because when it mattered most, they chose the same things to value: honor, sacrifice, and the belief that some promises were worth any cost to keep. "Welcome home, Lieutenant," Vexthor said, and he meant every word. "The Admiral chose well." Cortez nodded once, her hand resting on the dented chestplate where a hero's last act was forever stamped into metal, where it would remain, a reminder that courage knew no species, and that the best of them, human or Calrixian, were always willing to point at their scars and say, "This is where I refused to let them die alone." Keel.